ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। So namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. अनादिकालोय अहं स्वभावः जीवः समस्तव्यवहारवोढा करोति कर्माण्यपि पूर्ववासनः पुण्यान्यपुण्यानि तच्च तत्फलानि भुङ्क्ते विचित्रास्वपि योनिषु व्रजन् आयाति निर्याद्यध ऊर्ध्वमेषः अस्यैव विज्ञानमयस्य जाग्रत् स्वप्नाध्यवस्थाः सुख दुःख भोगः. So as I told in the last class, we will take these two slokas together because the verb, the first sloka sentence is incomplete because it doesn't have a verb. The verb of the first sloka and the second sloka, or in fact the first sloka is in the second sloka. The first word bhunkte is the verb. So we will take them together so that the anvaya is also properly made rather. Okay. So anvaya of this sloka is ayam anadikalah aham swabhavah jivah samasta vyavahara vodha पूर्ववासनः पुण्यानि अपुण्यानि च कर्माणि करोति अपि तत्फलानि विचित्रासु योनिषु व्रजन् भुङ्क्ते येषः अधः ऊर्ध्वम् आयाति निर्याति अस्य विज्ञानमयस्य एव जाग्रत् स्वप्नावस्थाः सुख दुःख भोगः. That is the anvaya. You can add Sukha Dukkha Vijnanamaya se eva Jagrat Swapnavastha Sukha Dukkha Bhoga Santi. You can add if you want. One more verb you can supply. Ayam means this Vijnanamaya. Anadikala hai, whose beginning cannot be determined. Which is existing from beginningless times. Aham Swabhava hai, and which has the sense of I. Jiva is the Jiva. Samasta Vyavahara Vodha, the performer of all activities. Api Purva Vasana, and having the impressions of the previous karmas ingrained. Punyani, actions that are enjoined by the Shastra. Apunyani cha, actions which are prohibited by Shastra. Karoti, performs. Api, and Tatphalani, the results of those actions. Vichitrasu, in various yonishu, bodies. Adaha, down. Urdhvam, up. Vrajan, moving. bhunkte experiences. Yeshaha, this jiva, ayati comes, niryati goes, ajnana asya vijnanamayasya, for the vijnanamaya eva alone, jagrat swapnavastha hai, the states of experience of waking and dreaming, etc., sukha dukkha bhoga hai, and the experience of joy and sorrow, can say santi, are there. So many things, all ideas Adi Shankara has packed in these two slokas, giving us a full picture of what is this Vijnanamaya Kosha is all about. When we discussed the verse 52, we saw that the last word was samsara karana. And it was said that the ahankara jiva is the cause of samsara. In verse 53, it was explained how ahankara is responsible for samsara. And to prove that ahankara is samsara karanam, anvaya vyatireka logic was used. We have seen this logic earlier also, the logic of co-presence and co-absence. In Tarka Shastra, or in Nyaya Shastra rather, if we have to establish the relationship between two entities, a relationship of existence between two entities, we use this logic, Anvaya Vyatireka. What is that? When two things are present at the same time, that is, or when one is present, the other is also present. When the one is absent, the other is also absent. That proves that there is a relationship in terms of existence between the two. One could be the cause, another could be an effect rather. For example, if you take a chair, a table rather, how will we use Anvaya Vyatireka? When wood is there, table is there. When wood is not there, the table is not there. So co-presence, wood and table are present at the same time and they are absent at the same time. So one is the cause, another is an effect. Both are cause and effect are present at the same time and are also absent at the same time. This is Anvaya Vyatireka. So here, applying that logic, it is pointed out that during waking period, ahankara is there. Our ego is active and we experience samsara. But the moment we go to sleep, our ego also goes into a dormant condition. Ahankara goes into a dormant condition. So we are blissful. We don't know what is happening. We are one with our Atma. We are free of samsara. And that is the pramanam. That is the means of knowledge for us to know the relationship between ahankara and samsara. That's why it was said, when ahankara is there, samsara is there. When ahankara is dormant, samsara is also not there. We don't feel any problem, any emotional issues, any intellectual issues. Even physical samsara is not there in deep sleep state. So why? Because ahankara is not there in the deep sleep state. And that is explained in these two verses, 54 and 55, which we are now seeing together. So the essence of these two slokas is that this Vijnanamaya, whose beginning cannot be determined, has the I sense, the small I, the ego I sense, due to identification with the body, etc. And this jiva is the performer of all activities, having the impressions of the previous karmas ingrained, samskaras. He performs punya karmas, action enjoined by the Shastra, and papa karmas, actions prohibited by the Shastra, and he enjoys the results also in various bodies, above and below. Above and below here represents Swargaloka and also Narakaloka. And moving in various bodies, he comes up, comes down, and goes up. For this Vijnanamaya alone are the three states of experiences of waking, dreaming, and sleep, and the experience of joy and sorrow. Sukha dukkha bhoga hai. So this is the essence of these two slokas. We'll see them in detail. So ayam swabhavaha. This I thought, the I vasana, the ego. The word swabhavaha here refers to abhimana. Abhimana vasana, identification, and the habit of continuously identifying yourself with the body, mind, sense complex. So ahankara, abhimana, vijnanamaya, ahankara, vasanacha is called aham swabhavaha. This identification with the ego, with the lower I, it has become almost second nature. And by using the word swabhavaha, what Shankaracharya wants to convey is that removal of this ahankara vasana is going to be a tough project. It is become your second nature. How are you going to change your nature? You can, because it is secondary, but it is not going to be easy. Shravanam and Mananam give us the knowledge. Mananam gives us doubtless knowledge. All our doubts are cleared in the Mananam practice. But even then, people will claim, I have gone through Shravanam Mananam, I have got intellectual knowledge, but I don't see any particular benefit. If you don't claim it, your people around you, your family will certainly claim it. What this fellow is doing Vedanta for the last so many years, but there is no change in him. His behavior is as it was earlier. He gets angry. If we say something against him, he will shout back. So we don't see any practical benefit which is there, but because of all this Vedanta. He may have knowledge. So in order to get the practical benefit of this Vedanta study, for that to happen, that vasana, that identification with the I, the body, mind, sense complex must be weakened. How do we do that? By long nididhyasanam. Our identification with family, etc., is so strong that if some news comes, worry follows. Worry is something that you need not invite. You need not plan for worry. You cannot say, okay, today evening 4 to 5, I am going to worry. You don't need to say that at all. It will come without your inviting. Any news comes, worry comes. In fact, it need not be a news relating to you. Suppose you have got a lot of investments in the stock market. You see, though the Sensex has gone down by 800 points, worry. My God, what will happen to my stocks? I'm going to lose a huge amount of money, worry. So, any news worry happens because of aham mama vasana. And that is why the study of Vedanta needs to be followed by long nididhyasanam, which is what we call Vedantic meditation. And Vedantic meditation alone will weaken the vasana. And that weakening alone will gradually make us change our reactions into responses. Today we react when any news comes, when any situation arises, we react. Reaction is we don't apply our mind. Unanalyzed reaction. That reaction has to be converted into response. Study the situation, look at all the options, and respond appropriately. Today, when some bad news comes, first I ask the question, what? In shock. What? Once I have done sufficient nididhyasanam, what will happen? After a few moments, I will say, so what? There's an interesting story narrated by Swami Paramarthanandaji to highlight this. I have actually, I don't remember. I've narrated this story in one of the other, courses I have taken. I don't know whether it was Vishnu Sahasranamam or Tattva Bodha. I don't remember, but it is still worth for us to repeat it, understand it again in the context which we are discussing. The story goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a rich businessman in India whose business was spread across the globe. He was married and he had two lovely children. One fine day, he decided to sell off all his overseas business, properties, etc., and bring all his wealth back to India. So he sent his wife and children abroad to wind up everything and returned by ship with all his wealth. Those days, aeroplanes were not there, only ship was the mode of transport, sea transport only was there. So everything went according to plans. The wife and children with all the wealth converted into maybe gold bars or silver bars, etc. They were returning to India by ship. When this was going on, one day the secretary of the businessman came to him and said that he had a very bad news. When questioned, the secretary said that the ship in which his wife and children were traveling had sunk in the high seas, along with all the wealth. The businessman was obviously shocked and he said, what? Then he collected himself and said, so what? The secretary said, there was more bad news. He said, what is that? He said, all the wealth, all the gold bars, the silver bars, currency, etc., which were being transported by the ship, they have also sunk. And none of them was insured, nor the ship was insured. This was too much. Again, the businessman's reaction was, what? But after a few moments, his response was, so what? Secretary was surprised. He said there was still more bad news. And that his wife and children of the businessman who were traveling by the ship, they had also drowned along with the ship. Again, the reaction of the businessman was, "What?" But after a few moments, his response was, "So what?" So even when the worst of the tragedy struck him, and he had lost all his wealth and even his family, his response was, "So what?" This is the difference between a jnani and an agyani. An agyani will be shocked on hearing this tragic news, and his reaction will be, "What?" Whereas a jnani's response will be, "So what?" Therefore, the distance between jnanam and ajnanam, between knowledge and ignorance, is the distance between what and so what. Because the jnani knows and understands that everything is governed by karma. Good things will happen, bad things will also happen. I will, of course, handle both of them to the best of my capacity, but I won't react. Because all these things, good and bad things, are natural to Anatma. I am not Anatma. Therefore, for the what to be converted into so what, only Nididhyasanam can help. And it could be a long drawn process, rather, depending upon the level at which the sadhaka is. The so what may come after several months or even years. But if sufficient nididhyasanam is done, we can convert what into so what within a few days. In the case of a jnani, even as the worry arises, he is able to distance himself. He is able to create a distance between the big I and the small I by Sakshi Bhavana. He understands that the Anatma is going through a very tough prarabdha. It is a prabala prarabdha which I cannot do anything about. If it is some small prarabdha, I can do some prashchitta karma and get over it. So I will go do what I will do. I will go through ahankara to the best of my ability. It may be resolved, or it may be reduced, or it may not be also. I am ready for all situations. This is the Jnani's take on whatever happens in his life. And therefore, the use of the word swabhavaha, the Acharya indicates that knowledge does not instantaneously solve emotional problems. If we had attacked the emotional problems through karma yoga itself with Ishwararpana and Prasada Bhavanas, emotions may have reduced but not completely eliminated. Then Nididhyasanam will further reduce these reduced emotions. So Karma Yoga is for grosser reduction of emotion. Nididhyasanam is for finer reduction of emotions. Of course, all these are not said in the sloka, but we need to understand these implications which arise out of these slokas rather. So I am swabhavaha, this ahankara. Since when it has been there, he says anadhikalaha. Because this ahankara itself is a misconception born out of self ignorance. And the self ignorance is beginningless. And therefore, ahankara is also anadihi. During sleep and even during pranayam, ahankara does not get destroyed. It only goes into a dormant condition. Even during pranayam, we must understand ahankara is only in a dormant condition. During sleep also, ahankara is dormant. The moment I wake up, ahankara also wakes up. So it has been there with me all along from beginningless times, anadikala hai. And ahankara will totally perish only at the time of videha mukti. Even during Jivan Mukti. During Jivan Mukti also, a Jnani will have Ahankara. But a Jnani's Ahankara will lose its capacity to generate samsara, emotional samsara. Elsewhere, Shankaracharya compares a Jnani's Ahankara to a roasted seed, roasted in the fire of Jnanam. The roasted seed cannot germinate even if you plant it. Therefore, a jnani has non-binding ahankara. But even this non-binding ahankara will go away at the time of videha mukti. During jivan mukti, non-binding ahankara will be there, but during videha mukti, this ahankara will also go away. Or we can say, during videha mukti or after videha mukti, jnani's ahankara will merge into samashti ahankara of Ishvara. The individuality goes away. Thus, this ahankara has no beginning and it has also, but it has got an end. When does it end? Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti. 5 stages you go through, Videha Mukti, Ahankara will go away. Once Ahankara goes away, no Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Because it is this Ahankara which all is contributory factor for rebirth. So Anadikala hai. Then is this Aham Swabhava hai. He calls that Jiva hai. We call it Jivatma also. And this Jiva hai is Samasta Vyavahara Vodha. Vodha means performer. The Jiva carries out all transactions, becomes the performer of all transactions. The Jiva carries out varieties of transactions with the world. So, Samasta Vyavahara, all transactions with the world. Of course, Jiva does this with the help of Manomaya and Pranamaya and also Annamaya. As Vijnanamaya, it cannot do any act directly. And that is why Vijnanamaya is called Karta Atma or just Karta. As we have already seen, Manomaya is called Karanam, instrument. Pranamaya and Annamaya, they are also Karanam only. No, sorry, they are Karyam. We saw that. Manomaya Karya means Pranamaya, Pranamaya Karya, Annamaya. So, Samasta Vyavahara Vodha. And what type of Vyavahara? Karoti Karmani Api. Once the Ahankara, once I become an Ahankara identified with Vijnanamaya Kosha, action follows. And the action is directed or it is undertaken with the help of Manomaya, Pranamaya, and Annamaya Kosha. Because Annamaya Kosha is required. Action, the karmendriyani are involved in action. But one point we must remember here, where the ahankara of the jiva is there, there itself the Atma is there. We have seen this earlier, Atma Anatma Viveka. I'm just repeating it so that we can understand the Atma Anatma concepts in the context of action rather. So the small I and the big I, the Ahankara I and the Atma, Satchidananda Atma I, the reflected I, both coexist together. So even though it is not said here, we should remember that Ahankara and Atma, the real I and the false Ahankara I, are always mixed together. Ahankara cannot exist on its own. Because for Ahankara to exist, the very Chidabhasa is borrowed from Atma. So they are intimate. So whenever I say Ahankara is the Karta, we must understand Ahankara is Anatma, it is Jadam. It cannot do anything on its own. So when I say Ahankara is Karta, Ahankara is intertwined with the Atma, the real I am the mixture of the real I, the Atma, and the false Ahankara I. In fact, in Adhyasa Bhashyam of Brahma Sutra, Shankaracharya in his Bhashyam, he defines Ahankara as मिथ्या ज्ञान निमित्त है सत्यानृते मिथुनीकृत्य अहमिदम मम इदम इति नैसर्गिकोयम लोक व्यवहार है. That idea he brings in here. We have to understand. When we say karta, so the real I atma, the false I ahankara, together karoti karmani. Karoti, performs, karmani. Why? Because the moment I identify with ahankara as a karta, bhokta and pramata, jnata or pramata, I have desires galore. The whole process of action starts with knowledge, isn't it? So the ahankara has got three aspects: karta, bhokta, and pramata. Pramata means knower. And the process starts from pramata stage. Pramata generates desires. I see someone who is very well educated. I want to get educated. Desire has come. Or if I am educated, I want to go from one qualification to another. Previously, the aim was only to get an undergraduate degree. Then after I finished that, I wanted to do postgraduate. Thereafter, I have to do doctorate, get postdoctoral fellowship, etc. Only thereafter I will marry. So by the time I get married, we are all in half Shashtyabda Bhurti, 30, 35 years. That's what is happening today. Be it girls or boys, both of them. I want to finish my study. I want to settle down in my life. I want to earn X number of digit salary. Then only I will get married. Then only I will get children. There will come a stage when the first birthday of the grandson and the 60th birthday of the grandfather, or the father rather, 60th birthday of the father and the first birthday of the son will be celebrated together. That is what is all going on. And people don't think anything about it at all. There is no thought, because getting a child is itself a very difficult task, but bringing up the child requires a lot of physical energy. If you get a child when you are 40 or 50 years old, from where are you going to get the physical energy to bring up the child? People don't think about all these things. Anyhow, it's all I try sometimes tend to go astray rather. So, come back to the topic. Because I, as a knower, as a pramata, have got endless desires. And I can never get purnatvam in knowledge. I feel that once my desires are fulfilled, I will be content. It will be the end. Okay, I will finish this and then that will be the end. I'll be very happy. But that never happens. Therefore, karoti karmani for jnanam, in this case, the example, the one who is pursuing knowledge one degree after the other. Karoti karmani for jnanam. Even otherwise, as a karta, I have decided to do many things. I want to become a doctor and serve the society. So there is a desire to know, desire to do. And in between, I want to have a vacation. I want to travel all over the world. I want to travel to all continents. There is a desire to learn, desire to do, desire to enjoy. I want to attend musical concerts. I want to go for this kacheri, that kacheri. All these desires keep coming. And this is what Adi Shankara says. Avidya kama karma. He, he, he brings a different dimension to this. Avidya, ignorance, leads to these threefold karmas. What are they? Desire to learn, desire to do, and desire to enjoy. Desire to learn, pramata. Desire to do, karta. Desire to enjoy, bhokta. So this pramata, karta, bhokta, which is the ahankara I, which is identified, which ahankara I identifies itself with, continues because of avidya, ignorance. So I have to keep on doing. Therefore, karmani karoti. And some desires are acquired desires. By talking to others, they say, I went there, I went here, I went to Honolulu. So, very beautiful place. I went to African safari, Kenya and all. Beautiful. I also want to go. Or some desires come up by these commercials. That is why this commercial TV, commercial and all very famous. They spend lakhs and lakhs in these commercials. Because they know that lot of people will be prompted by these commercials to buy their product or go on the tour which they are advertising. Thus, I acquire lot of desires. And then these desires also have got one more source. Purva Janma Vasanas. So I have some instinctive desires goaded by Purva Janma Vasana. Maybe I had some Purva Janma, some music as Purva Janma Vasana. So in this birth, I want to learn music. That desire is there. So again, desires we can understand from two perspectives: instinctive desires and acquired desires. All this, when we say karmani karoti api, we should understand all this background. So he performs varieties of karma in this janma also. And that is what? Pedaling of samsara. The karta pedals the cycle of samsara. That karmani karoti, that api in karmani karoti can be taken as in this janma also. He does karma, goaded by purva janma vasanas and current janma desires. So karoti karmanyapi purva vasana hai, the purva janma vasanas. Then he says, punyan apunyani cha tatphalani. And these karmani, these karmas, what do they result in? They either result in punya or apunya, which is papa. When I have desired, I do righteous things, the right things, dharmic things. I acquire things righteously and properly. That is punya karmas. When the desires get converted into greed, then I don't stop only with legitimate methods. Because legitimate methods of acquiring wealth takes more time and effort. I don't have the patience because my desires are too many. I know I've got a limited life. I have to fulfill all the desires during this limited life. I become greedy. Therefore, I try to earn wealth by the wrong methods, violating dharma. Once I violate dharma, it becomes apunya karmani or papa karmani. And therefore, the Acharya says punyani, right action, which is adjective to karmani. Punyani karmani. And apunyani means papa karmani, wrong action. As I said, dharmic and adharmic actions we can understand. Karoti, he does. This jiva does. So, avidya kama karma cycle comes into place. And this is the direction or trajectory of the samsara. Avidya kama karma, which enables this jiva to identify with pramata, karta, bhokta. And these karmani cannot keep quiet. Because once you have earned punya or papa, they have to get converted into karma phalam. Every karma we do, every action we do is like sowing a seed. It has to sprout. It could be a beautiful flower or it could be a cactus plant. Every action has got to have a reaction. So karma phalam is waiting. This punya and papa, they are like, when we do a karma, it is like switching on a time bomb. Every karma is a time bomb with an inbuilt timer. Some of the results will fructify in this janma itself, called prarabdha karmani. Prarabdha karma phalani. Some of the karmas cannot fructify in this janma because they require a different type of body or they take more time to mature, to give the fruits. There are many karmas, many karma phalam, which can be experienced only in certain types of bodies, animal body or a plant body. Even then, some karma phalams, even within plants also different types of bodies are there. Bamboo tree is there, people tree is there. There are different types of bodies, and they have got different types of, they are results of different types of karma phalas. So those karma phalas, they will have to wait for another appropriate shariram for this jiva. So he said maybe a buffalo body, maybe a bat body, maybe an octopus body, or even a devata body, celestial body. So karma will wait, and that will be carried forward for fructification in the future janma. Thus, the karta will become a bhokta immediately or later. And that is said here, tat phalani. The word tat phalani refers to karma phalani. It has to be connected to the next verse, as I said. The first word, bhungte, it has to be connected. Tat phalani bhungte. So the Anvaya would be Purva Vasanaha Punyan Apunyani Tatphalani Cha Bhungte. So Bhungte is the verb to be connected to Tatphalani in the first verse. Bhungte means experiences, suffers, enjoys. All this, depending upon what kind of an experience is, Bhungte can be interpreted. Who is the experiencer? Yesha ahankara. Which ahankara? Atma visrita ahankara hai. Sakshi visrita ahankara hai. This ahankara, which is combined with the Atma. And when this ahankara is called a karta, the Atma is also called a karta. So in association with ahankara, Atma becomes a karta. But Atma is a passive karta. You can put karta within inverted commas. Because on its own, Atma cannot do anything. We have seen that earlier also. Atma is all pervading. It can't do anything. Only in association with this ahankara, and that too not the original Atma, it's the reflected Atma, which becomes a karta. It becomes a part of karta team. So in order to identify this, we call this Atma as Nirvikara Karta. That's why when you come across Atma Nirvikara Karta, you must not wonder, oh, we were told that Atma is Akarta. Now become Nirvikara Karta. So we have to understand the stages. Original Atma, reflected Atma, Ahankara. Ahankara with reflected Atma can become Nirvikara Karta. The original Atma is always Akarta. In fact, Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, Apani Pado Javano Grahita Pashyatya Chakshuhu Sa Sudotya Karnaha Sa Vetti Vedyam Nacha Tasyasti Vetta Tamahuragrayam Purusham Mahantam. So Pashyati Achakshuhu Sa Srunotya Karnaha. This is the definition, this is the description of a karta, of the Atma as karta. Pashyati Achakshuhu does not have eye but still sees. Shrunoti akarnaha does not have ears but still hears. So the reflected Atma is Nirvikara Karta. Ahankara, we call it Savikara Karta. Of course, the whole discussion here is about Savikara Karta only, right? So, Yesha Ahankara Tatfalani Bhunkte. So, the Ahankara gets into action and then it is paid in its own coin. The results of the action are experienced by that Ahankara Jiva only. The result is given by Ishvara, who is Karma Phala Dhata. In fact, the Ishvara, when we say Karma Phala Dhata, he need not regularly open his computer and look at every Jiva and give Karma Phalam, etc. Must remember, all this karma phalam for all types of karma is inbuilt in Maya itself. It is not a deliberate action done by Ishvara, looking at its records at every or every jiva. Even a mosquito, which is also a jiva. Mosquito has also got a karma. It bites you, and sometimes it gets instant karma phalam, isn't it? You give one smack with your hand or newspaper, and it gets instant videha mukti, dies. And infinite jivas are there, we know. If Ishvara is going to look at each one and give karma phalam, he will go crazy. So the whole law of karma is inbuilt in Maya itself. It is an automated system. Just as our digestion or breathing happens, even without our thinking or knowing, since it is all inbuilt in our body. Similarly, in the cosmos, the law of karma is all inbuilt. And that is why we say Ishvara karma phala dhata. And because of that, Yesha tat phalani bhunkte. Now we have to note that karmas can be religious karmas also, like rituals, puja, etc., as instructed by Shastra, or it can be laukika karmas also. Laukika karmas give laukika phalam. Shastriya karma gives shastriya phalam. When I do annadanam, give food to others, the receiver gets the result. His stomach is filled. I also get an immediate result by seeing a hungry person eating. I get a joy. There is a fulfillment. There is a satisfaction. I have a feel good factor. That is drishtaphala. So annadanam as a laukika karma gives me drishtaphalam, immediately experienceable result of joy or satisfaction. The same annadanam, when I do as a shastriya karma, with an attitude that it is good karma, with shraddha in the Veda, it becomes shastriya karma. For example, during shraddha ceremony, we get Brahmins, we give annadanam to them. That very same annadanam, which is done as a shastriya karma, produces drishtaphalam as well as adrishtaphalam, punyam. That adrishtaphalam I am not able to see. I may get the drishtaphalam. The Brahmin eats the food, very satisfied. He blesses you. But the adrishtaphalam, which is punyam, I don't see. So Atma Triptihi is drishtaphalam, punyam is adrishtaphalam. And this punyam will get converted into sukham later. The punyam will give me further favorable experiences in this life or in later life. Sometimes I get karma phalam, the result of karma in this janma itself, and sometimes in the later janma, depending on the type of karma. We cannot say which one will fructify in this birth and which will fructify in a later birth because punyam is invisible. Therefore, Shankaracharya says, for experiencing certain varieties of punyam, papam, we will have to take other types of bodies. So comes the third layer, the physical layer of samsara. When discussing about samsara, we have discussed about intellectual samsara. Then we discussed about emotional samsara. Now we are discussing about physical samsara. What is physical samsara? Physical samsara is going from one body to another. I do not know which body I will get in the next janma. Some people ask this question, especially to the astrologers. Will I get the same husband, same wife? It could be both ways. What they mean is, I don't want the same husband, wife, or I want the same husband or same wife. Both ways. But then how can we know? What is the guarantee that different family members will only have a human janma? Do I know I will have a human janma or my wife will have a human janma? Because this husband and wife relationship can be valid only in a human janma. We may not be even born in the same species. One may be a devata and another may be a tree. We don't know. And we have to note another point also. It is a very important point about which lot of misconception is there. We have to note that whoever performs karma alone will get to experience its result also. The result of somebody else's karma cannot be experienced by someone else unless there is a specific proxy karma. Like a priest doing karma on behalf of a yajamana, or a husband doing karma, punya karma on behalf of the wife, in which case the wife gets 50% of the punya karma because she has given the power of attorney to perform the karmas on his behalf at the time of marriage. And that is the reason people don't understand all these things. Women need not chant Vedas, learn Vedas, and chant Vedas and do pujas if the husband is doing it. If the husband is not doing it, the woman's duty is to force the husband to do it, to motivate the husband to do it, but not do it on their own. Because they are not adhikaris as per the Shastra, that adhikaritvam for doing all the rituals which they gained during the time of their marriage, immediately they gave it up to the husband. The thread which they are supposed to wear, they gave it up, and the husband is now wearing the thread of the wife also, which he took over during the marriage. So as long as the husband is doing all karmas, wife need not worry. All the punyam 50% she will get. So except for these special occasions, the general rule is that whoever does karma will have to go through its result. And therefore, parents' karma will not affect the children. And I'm saying this because there is a wrong belief among people, especially in South India, I've seen. They say that it is our parents' punyam, we are getting all these things. It is okay, Laukika, this thing you can say and all that. But from a Vedantic perspective, that is not the case. The result of each one's karma, that particular person alone will have to experience. A parent's punya karma may be experienced by the parents by seeing or by their children settling well. children settling well in their life is because of their own karmas, not because of the punya karmas of the parents. But what do the parents get for their punya karmas? They get the satisfaction, the happiness when they see the children get settling well. So we have to understand all these things, very finely. So the result of each one's karma, that particular person alone will have to experience. Yah karta bhavati sahayeva bhokta bhavati. The present karma phalam, the result of present karma, I may experience either through this body or sometimes through future bodies also. Therefore, punyam and papam will become responsible for punarjanma. And therefore, the Acharya says, Bhunkte vichitrashu api yonishu vrajan. Bhunkte vichitrasu api yonishu vrajan. Every time we get into varieties of extraordinary bodies. We'll stop here and continue in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. Dhanyavada. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you very much.
very much.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Karam, namaskar. Thank you. So today Hariji is not there, so no questions also are coming up. Namaste. Any questions? No? No hands have gone up.
None, I said.
Huh?
No questions.
No questions. Okay, then we'll stop the session.
Hariji is very interesting. Questions are very interesting. He
See,
connects
many times
various
the questions
things.
are answered in the talk itself. That is the beauty.
Yeah, no, not only that, his questions are related to various other aspects of
Yeah.
The adhyayanam, what we are doing. It's adhyayanam,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So he gets into other aspects and tries to connect them, which is interesting.
Yeah. And that is the beauty of, Acharyas like Swami Paramarthananda. One way of teaching is just to read the sloka, give the word meaning and be done with it. It will be very quick. But the purpose is that to educate the people, to give them the knowledge of so many other aspects also, which on a day-to-day basis we will have questions about. So, and Swami Paramarthananda goes into it in a very detailed manner, explains it in a way we can understand and we can communicate also. So that is the beauty of that. We are all blessed to have such a guru for us. Anyhow, okay, we will stop the session and continue next week from India. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om. Safe trip back.
Thank you. Thank you.